Hi guys, Chag Sameach everybody, Ayelet's here. So as I promised, Bli Neder, I am working on a very fascinating class about Megilat Esther, which will be probably ready, hopefully Be'ezrat Hashem, B'siyata Dishmaya, either tomorrow or on Thursday. But before I will submit this class, I would like you to watch the preface of that class brought to you by Rabbi Moshe behind me. Okay, it's just a short video clip of like 6 minutes, but I think it's critical in order to understand the meaning of Megillat Esther, why all of this story happened, what stands behind it, what do we need to take from this story, and how we can bring back those lessons into our life in order to bring Mashiach. Because if you remember, the story of Megillat Esther is the last episode of Am Israel, where Hashem literally revealed his face before he went down to hiddenness and 2,000 years of exile, which we are still experiencing, unfortunately. So I think it's crucial to understand why everything happened as it happened in the Megillah. What are the motives for the actions of Aman Arasha in Machshimo, which was Amalek, same like Hitler in Machshemo, and what were the motives for the actions of Esther Amalka and Mordechai. So do me a favor, watch this short video clip so we'll have the preview, the preface, and the background, and the morals and the lessons. The class brought to you either tomorrow or on Thursday, Bli Neder, is a very, very special class that presents not the story itself, because all of us know how to read the Megillah, and not the Kabbalistic meanings, because we've been through that in previous years and it's a lot of material, but certain details, backgrounds, and characters that are not very revealed through the Megillah, brought to you by the Zera Shimshon, Rabbi Karmi Inver, Adi Rabbeim, and very fascinating, that you have to really dig to find them, and they're amazing. So keep tuned. If you like my videos and want more content, please like my videos through YouTube, not through Facebook, and subscribe to my channel and enjoy the video clip. It's amazing. I watched it before. And if anybody wants the full class, please let me know and I'll send you Rabbi Moshe's full class. Have a Chag Sameach. I'll see you sometime in the next 2 days, Bli Neder, and have an easy fast tomorrow. It's the fast of Esther. You remember she fasted for 3 days along with the rest of Am Israel to save them. Bli Neder, let's fast for the Jews of Ukraine this time, for their returning to Israel. Have a Chag Sameach. Bye-bye.
I want to begin today with a story that took place in Ukraine, but going back some time, going back to 1911. There was someone that was born in Ukraine. His name was Menachem Mendel Beilis. He was born to a Hasidic family, although he himself was not religious. On March 12th of the year 1911, this is 1 month before Passover, there was a 13-year-old Ukrainian boy. His name was Andrei Yushinsky. And Andrei Yushinsky disappeared on his way to school. 8 days later, his body was found with multiple stab wounds. It was found near a cave that was near a brick factory. Mendel Beilis, who was a father of 5 children, worked at that brick factory right near the city of Kiev. We now are very familiar with the name of that city. So they picked Mendel Beilis because he worked in that brick factory, and they said, "You're the murderer." And he was arrested on July 21st, 1911. He spent 2 years in prison before any trial began. Meanwhile, during that 2-year period, this vicious anti-Semitic campaign was launched in the press against the entire Jewish community, which was then Russia and Ukraine. And what did they say took place? Well, the old blood libel came back. Being that this was a month before Passover, the Jews murdered this Christian boy to take his blood and use it for their matzah for Passover. You would have thought that this blood libel would have disappeared back then, 500 years ago, but no, in 1911, it was still very much alive. The Mendel-Bayless affair shook the ground under the entire Jewish world. Everyone was frightened by the outcome of this trial, because if this Jew was to be found guilty, you knew the pogroms were next. The trial began October 8, 1913. Both sides had 2 years to prepare for this trial. The opposition, the prosecutors, led by fierce anti-Semites, had scholars go through the entire Torah and Talmud to try to pick out verses that they would be able to bring up at trial to show that Jews disrespect Gentiles. The Jewish side, Balin's attorneys, got brought together some of the greatest rabbinic minds, some of the greatest scholars to be part of the defense team. And all the world was focused on this particular trial. The 12 jurors were chosen, their identities and ideologies thoroughly prepared prior to what was going to be a charade of the trial. And anti-Semites from all over the world gathered together to this courthouse near Kiev for the trial of Mendel-Bayless. One of the critical questions that was brought up by the prosecution was the fact that there's a remark in the Talmud that's made that the Jewish people are called by the name Adam, while the nations of the world are not called by the name Adam. And therefore, they pointed out that you see Jewish literature says that the nations of the world are not called Adam. Adam means human. So you see, you're being taught in your schools that the non-Jewish world is called non-human. And being that you look at the non-Jewish world as non-human, certainly you felt that you had the right to murder a non-human. The defense attorney turns to the rabbis on his team. They had prepared for this. They were ready for this. They were ready for any verse that they can pick on. And Rabbi Yaakov Meza took to the floor. Rabbi Yaakov Meza, I believe he's from the family, if I'm not mistaken, from which Jackie Mason comes from, his ancestry. And he said to the jury and to the court and to the world, in Hebrew, every word has a singular form of it and a plural form of it. Ish means man. If you want to say men, you don't say ish, you say anashim. Isha is a woman singular. If you want to say women plural, you say nashim. If you want to say mountain singular, you say har. Mountains plural, harim. Apple, tapuach. Apples, tapuchim. Every word has a singular form and a plural form. There is one word, however, in Hebrew that does not have a plural form. That word is Adam. We don't say Adamim. So the word Adam, Adam, can only be applied to a single person. There is no plural form of it. Hence, none of the nations of the world could be called Adam, as a nation is comprised of many individuals. The exception, however, are the Jewish people. The Jewish people can be called Adam. Why? This doesn't mean that non-Jews are, God forbid, less than human. It's the Torah's way of making a statement that there was something about the title Adam which could not be applied to a nation with the exception of the Jewish people. Why? Because there may be millions of Jews around the world, but they're still called Adam. They're still considered a single human being. And then he points to the trial, to the room, to the court, to the jury. And he says, and this room proves my point. Look, you have one defendant here, Mendel Bayless. One defendant is accused of killing a child. But who's on trial? You didn't sit for 2 years pointing to the prosecutors to look for any evidence about the murder of this child. No. You looked through all of Jewish literature. Why? Because when one Jew is on trial, all the Jews of the world are on trial. We're all on trial. Imagine if a Russian Gentile was accused of the murder. Would anyone entertain the idea of putting the entire Russian people and all of Russian literature on trial? If an Italian was found guilty of murder, would the entire Italian people be blamed for the crime? But the exception are the Jews. When one Jew is on trial, you put all the Jews on trial. That's why we're Adam, we're one. We may be 14 million bodies, but we're one soul. We're one person. We think differently, we may act differently, but we're really one. And when one Mendel Bayless was put on trial, the entire Jewish world stopped and stood by his side like one man. And the Jewish people trembled for his welfare, because where goes Mendel Bayless would go the Jewish world. This defense of Mendel Bayless left a deep impact on the jury. And shockingly, they dropped the charges against Mendel Bayless, seeing for what they were, just anti-Semitic, old-fashioned anti-Semitism of the old-fashioned blood libel. But this remains part of who we are. We are one. We are Adam. When you strengthen one part of the body, you strengthen the entire body. And so we start by asking, what can we do to help understand that we're one body? And so when we increase in our prayer, when we increase in our charity, when we increase in our good deeds, it helps the entire family.